Hello and welcome to the Sussex by the Sea podcast, talking all things Hastings United. In our first show, we're talking to superfan and all-round good guy George Gasson. After that, in our away fan segment, I talked to the lovely Lee Whitney, who's a Malden and Tiptree FC regular, about their great cup run last year and his club in general. The U's are due to play at Malden on the 5th of September. I'm hoping as the weeks go by to add new segments to the show and have regular input from you fellow U's fans, be it at the ground on match day or by contacting us by email on hufcpod@gmail.com or on our Twitter at hufcpodcast. That's at hufcpodcast. Now, let's hear from my chat with George Gasson. This was recorded after the Folkestone friendly at the Pilot Field, but we go on from there to talk about how we fell in love with all things Hastings United. Enjoy. Enough, yeah. I'm just sitting in my front window, and I've just seen Matt park up. You know the ref. From yesterday. Yeah, he's just parked outside my house. He actually gave us a few, so I'm not going to give him any abuse because there was a few challenges he let go for us, particularly in the first half. But that's
he missed the penalty though, didn't he?
Yeah, a bit of a stretch. Yeah, I know. How biased do we want to be?
Very.
Well, yeah, with the Hastings goggles on, it was an absolute stonewall. But
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, you don't mind me. I'm as I say, talk about George, didn't we? Really, right? I've even got a little blurb for you, mate. Right? You ready for this? Right? He's the legend on the drum. He's the U's own songsmith. He's tops off in a flash in November. If Hastings score away, he is the one, the only Sir George Gasson. Have I murdered your last name?
Yeah, you have. It's not French. It's called
Gasson. No, what is it then? How would you pronounce it? Gasson.
Yeah.
So if someone says Gasson, that's fighting talk.
Yeah. I'm coming at you with the
Gasson. Okie dokie. We all know you. Anyone that's in the crowd, you know, fantastic creator of atmosphere. You know, I mean, I don't know what we'd do. I don't know how we'd cope without you, George. You know, I mean, so I'm not going to kiss your ass too much though. Can you remember the first, like that moment you really fell in love with the club? Because I mean, I know we all go to games different. You know, we get around. I mean, obviously you're not like local these days. But what was it? When did you realise like I just love this place and I want to be here home and away?
Well, ironically, actually, it was obviously I followed Brighton as a kid.
Yeah.
Season ticket holder there for about 14 years,
Mm.
and when I moved away from Hastings, and often when you move away from somewhere, you feel a bit more of an attachment to it. You feel like you're representing where you're from when you go somewhere new. So you've got getting a bit fed up with sort of football league and higher end football, big money football, where they don't really want you there. And I look up, see how Hastings is getting on, and try and get to a game. They just happen to be playing actually in Folkestone that evening.
Oh, all right, yeah.
And it was we were in Canterbury enough, and there was the playoff semi-final. So your mate Darryl, who comes with us now.
Yeah.
You know, I actually fancy going to a Hastings thing down there. We went down on the train. We lost that semi-final to a freak deflected goal. But we had such a good time down there. It was like, you know, this is the sort of thing that we should be doing.
Yeah.
And just coming to the Pilot Field and starting doing it more regularly, and you just sort of feels like you're at home where you need to be really. And as we know, it's far better to come and watch non-league, be much closer to the players, understand what's going on at the club. The club want you there.
Yeah.
It's just a far better day out really.
Well, 100% with you there. I mean, obviously, similar thing to myself. I used to go QPR for years. Obviously, moved up here. Tried to go to QPR, bit more of a mission. Got kids and that. It's like all the characters at the gate. It makes you realise that because a lot of I think what we love about it isn't actually the team. It's just that family that's there. Yeah, because thick or thin, doesn't matter if we're winning or losing. Like when we lost yesterday. no, none of us were, effing and jeffing about it because we were glad to see each other again, weren't we? And then have a little sing song and.
Yeah, personally, I think if you go to any football game or any football trip, and you base your enjoyment of it on the result or the game of football, then I think I don't know, it's fair enough if you do that, but I couldn't do that. I feel like a bit of a mug if I was doing that. For me, it's a day out. It's seeing people. We've got our little behind the goal kind of family. It's that whole experience. It's the train ride there. Meeting other people beforehand, and whatever goes on in the clubhouse after. The game is very much secondary.
Well, I mean, luckily enough, we've been very lucky, haven't we? The last few years, there's been a great football out on the pitch, and that I remember going back when Neville Southall, when Neville Southall was a coach at Hastings, and it was pretty dire. Do you know what I mean? It was very Route One kind of stuff that you would never initially fall in love with the team because of the football. It would be other things. Do you know what I mean? So, Aggie's
we're lucky at the moment. We're lucky at the moment because I think the club's probably a bigger part of my life because the football's so good. Because I'm bragging about it all the time to other people who don't go. The football is of a high quality.
Yeah.
Yes, it's level 8 of the pyramid, but some of the football on display, even yesterday, in what was an uncompetitive sort of game.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite a full tilt. Some of the football that we were seeing, some players that are from Hastings, young players, was something to shout about. That's why it's so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan, because obviously I ain't no bloody expert, but like from a fan point of view, I mean, it looked like, it took them 10, 20 minutes to kind of get going, get that rhythm going. But then there was some, we started playing some stuff down the wings, some good stuff. There was some good little passages of play. Obviously, we're playing folks and they're at a higher level. I felt we did look like we were about 80%. I mean, it's pre-season, isn't it? You're not. That's the whole point of the games. You're getting rid of the cobwebs. You're getting a bit of a run out, aren't you? So, I mean, we respectable. I thought it was a respectable result considering.
Well, if you take the fact that we were probably about 80%, and so were Folkestone as well. To be fair to them, they're not going to be quite ready yet either. And it just shows that we will compete this season, and that if we were lucky enough to be in the division above, that we would compete at that level too. Yeah. It's going to be a tough season, definitely a tough season. You look at the division and other teams are strengthening as well. There's enough positive people running the club now. At least have a positive outlook and a bit of ambition. So that's what we need to stick to, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've asked you about the atmosphere. I mean, obviously, you're, I don't know. Kiss your ass too much about it, but obviously, you're one of the key people that get a bit of atmosphere going. I mean, is that something I don't know. Of course, you're proud of it, but like you go out your way to, don't you? You go out your way to create that atmosphere. I
think for quite a few of us, that's how we're enjoying ourselves, I suppose, really. So it's quite a. Everyone enjoys themselves in a different way. Some people love to get a better view of the game by sitting on the halfway line and talk about tactics and things during the game and what's going on, and that's how they enjoy it. Some people have their own bit. Some people like to stand behind the linesman and give him some tips. And there's a few of us who love being behind the goal, love being close to the pitch when we score, and just love going to away games. Sort of how we enjoy it. And some of us are, not everyone can go to all the games.
Yeah.
There's a few of us who are lucky enough to be able to go to most. We're lucky as well now. Now we've got Rob Quinn on board at the club, producing good reports that are fair, and I would say are slightly more positive reports than we've had previously on our games, and they're always a good read, and it's good for all of us. We always read his previews as well for the games. It's a great way to build up really to the match day. So big shout out to Bob there for what he does, because it's quite hard. It's quite hard to keep up with the play, especially when we all care so much.
Yeah,
about where they are, and they understand what it means to fans. That's why it's such a good group. And I think we've seen actually over the past couple of years that not only has Chris got in some, particularly high quality talent into the team, but also the right characters. And even if we've had players that are good, of good quality, but if they're not fitting in with the group or not sort of understanding that ethos, they're not here anymore.
So they get moved on quick.
The group that we saw yesterday enjoying themselves together. It was really, really good to see. Actually, really good to see.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Okay. Right, mate. Just moving on. Right. Yeah. I was just only a few more things, George. I don't want to keep you too long, mate. But and obviously, I'm going to try and cut this and edit it. So that just basically so I sound really good and you sound like you're French. Not really.
No. So there's only room for one star here, Chris.
No, don't worry. Yeah, I'm not an egomaniac. Don't worry. But your feelings on the season ending early. I know, obviously, we've all had a moan about it, but from the fact that we didn't go up.
Summing it up, gutting. Obviously, we all felt that we would have gone on to win the league. We've had our blip, starting to turn form. Very frustrating. Personally, for me, to get over it, which is something that we've all had to do, is to say that we hadn't actually won it. I'd feel even worse if we were a Jersey Bulls who actually won. I mean, they won nearly every game, and they'd already celebrated promotion. Then be told that that's not happening. I think so. We're not in the worst position out of all the clubs that are affected by that. I'd be disappointed if I was an Ashford or a Whitehawk fan that another strong team is still going to be in their division rather than getting promoted and getting out of the way. And it's going to be very, very competitive this season. I think. You ask anyone about this, everyone's still gutted, and a lot of people might say, it's the wrong decision or it's made too hastily. But we've got a chance to put that right over the next 9 months, and whatever level of football Hastings United play at, we'll be there. Anyway, enjoying it. So just trying not to get too annoyed about it because it's not healthy, not helpful.
Nothing we can do about it. But obviously from hopefully we can enjoy it. Obviously with COVID knocking around at the moment, hopefully we don't have another stoppage. But that's in the hands of the gods, isn't it? What else was I going to say? So I think we already touched on it, but keeping most of the team together, I think, which is a great thing. I mean, obviously we've lost Aziz and we lost Daniel Ajikai. Particularly Ajikai was a top player. I thought he was a great player. Always gave 100% as well. I mean, he was just unbelievable. I mean, the amount of goals he should have scored last year and he didn't through just not having the luck. But the guys we've got in now, I mean, it's early doors, isn't it? I mean, obviously it's just pre-season. I mean, do you think that will affect us greatly, or?
I don't. I think we've got one of the best keepers in the division. We've got the best centre-back partnership in the division. We've got players like Ollie Black, who's come on leaps and bounds over the last 12 months and now looking really solid whether he plays at left-back or centre-back. We've got players like Adams and Dixon who have been doing it year in, year out very consistently. Obviously, Pope up top. You've got this Lloyd Dawes that comes in and looks like he just wants to take on everyone and smash it in the top corner. Every time he gets the ball, very exciting. And, while we've got, there's been a bit of investment into the playing sides, money-wise, from the club. But while other teams are having to find players from elsewhere to fill their gaps, we're producing players like Ryan Worrell's coming through.
Oh, of course,
Tom Chalmers looked like he was one of the best players on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, he really come into the game. He definitely come into the game.
He just looks dangerous every time he gets the ball. So we're going to keep producing players like that.
Well, obviously
more as well.
We've got Rodari on the bench. We've got Jake Elliott's. Jake Elliott's there. I mean, I don't know if I really hope. Well, just selfishly, I hope he stays, because I know he's had some trials in other places, but like, if he could stay, I mean, he's a top defender. He's so calm on the ball. There's a lot to like. You know what I mean? And obviously we got the impact sub. We got Kenny Pogue. I mean,
Kenny Carnage.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember that away game where we were 2-0 down with, what was it, a couple of minutes to go? The Pogue comes in and destroys it.
Yeah, it's just changed the game, changed the dynamic of it. And then when you've got a centre back who's playing in midfield, you've got basically playing one at the back, it gets quite exciting.
Oh, of course.
So there's a lot of things to be excited about, and they just seem like a great bunch of lads as well. So looking forward to seeing Pope and David and Lloyd Dawes start together.
Yeah, I know that. Well, that's excellent. Well, look, George, thanks very much for your time. Is there anything? That's all right, sir. Is there anything that you want to plug or you want to think that we should be talking about?
Absolutely. I want to give a massive shout out to Shana.
Yeah.
Who's doing some amazing work around the supporters club at the moment.
Yeah.
Signing people up and letting people know the benefits and what they can gain by paying that £10 and joining up.
She's done great.
She's done brilliant, and it's a nice thing to sell because it is genuinely beneficial. So we obviously ran a quiz this week, and we'll have another one up towards Christmas.
Have we? Yeah.
And we are looking into having a bingo night in a couple of months' time as well. So a few events on the way to plug there.
We now catch Morton and Tiptree fan Lee Whitney the day after his side were involved in a goal fest versus Bowers and Pitsea FC.
We played Bowers and Pitsea, so they're in the Premier Division.
They're supposed to be a really good side, them, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they were in our league the season they got promoted, and they're a team that know their way around the non-league, so
yeah.
We've always been quite a young side.
Okay.
So, but they've got they had a lot of players in particularly that promotion side that knew how to get over the line.
Yeah.
But I've not kept up with how they sort of their squad and where they've gone, so I don't really know.
I know it's difficult.
What to make of last night, but
I know, because you think, I mean, none of us do. I mean, like, I know with Hastings, like, I mean, not recently, but like over the last few years, they used to have a lot of people coming and going, and you'd be like, well, who's here this week and all that, and like, because obviously the rules are different, aren't they? All of a sudden, like, 2 weeks they were here, then 2 weeks they were gone, and there's Chris Agata, he's got like quite a settled team over the last 2-3 years, so obviously you kind of get to know the team a little bit, if you get what I mean, when they're always coming and going. Anyway.
Each week, aren't you?
Yeah. So anyway, Lee, how long have you been a Malden Tiptree fan then? How long is it? Is it something you've started from, supporting a big club and then kind of get loving the non-leagues, or what?
Yeah, so for my sins, being from Sussex, I grew up a Man U fan.
Yeah. And did you live in Manchester?
Nowhere near. No. Nowhere near. I think it was only about 5 or 6 years ago. I was sat at home every Saturday watching football on the TV. Yeah. And I thought to myself, there's a football club 10 minutes from where I live. Why don't I go out and watch some football? Yeah. And, put a bit of money into a grassroots club that could do with it more than the Premier League club did. So, it was only about 5 or 6 years, but it's honestly been one of the best things I think I've done. It's been really good. Yeah. Just, meeting so many people and getting to watch live football week in, week out. I'd recommend it to anyone, absolutely. Well, I mean, you won't, so many people that, when I'm at the Hastings, they always all say the same thing, like a lot of us, got tired. I was born right near where QPR, in West London. I was born near there, and I used to go home and away with QPR when I was a kid. And and I moved down to Hastings in 2003, and
I'd go to the occasional game, but I'd still try and take my kids down to watch QPR. And eventually, I just fell out of love with, like, particularly the Premier League. You know, it's all about money, and you're not really a fan. You're like a spectator. You know, there's not a connection like there used to be. And then I started probably about the same sort of time as yourself, and just falling in love with it. Falling in love with football again. You know what I mean? And just enjoying, a couple of beers, the crack with the fans. The banter between the fans and all that, and just enjoying football again, which is, I didn't think I would. So I've had a bit of a wiki about your club, and apparently you merged. You were Mordentown and Tiptree United. Is that the case?
That's right. So about 10 years ago, I think they merged. Yeah.
Yeah, and your chairman.
That's the current club that's there now.
Yeah, the chairman. And what's he like? Is he engaged with Does he engage with the fans and that? Is he a good chairman?
Oh, he is fantastic, and not to sort of blow smoke up anyone.
Yeah.
But no, so since I've been going, I've got to know him and got talking to him on a weekly basis, and I have my regular seat in front of him. So he stands at the back, and I sort of have made a seat in front of him my own.
Oh, right.
And so just as a little story, as we were going through the rounds in the FA Cup last season,
yeah,
I just jokingly said to him, "Look, don't give my seat away to some plastic fan when Sunderland are here in the first round and we're on TV."
Yeah.
And I just said it a couple of times. And so when we got Newport in the second round at home,
yeah,
went to collect my ticket, and he said to me, "Oh, by the way, we're going to cordon the top 2 rows off at the top of the stand, so you get your usual seat because you're here every week." And I just thought that, just showed the mark of the man.
Yeah, that's a nice gesture.
He could have had some VIPs in there, couldn't he? But I thought it was nice that he sort of kept it open to the regular spectators, and it meant I got my mug on TV a few times where they were
good. Well, did you go to the Orient game?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, must have been amazing. That
it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was. It's one of those you sort of, I think, following like QPR or Man U, you kind of forget how much the FA Cup means to these smaller clubs.
Yeah,
and then you go and have a day like that, and you just realise just how brilliant that competition is.
I think back in the day, I remember going to Yeovil away in the cup, and I remember, like, the cup run was the highlight of when I was a QPR fan. I'm still a QPR fan, really, but the highlight of the season was a cup run. But for probably about a good 20 years, QPR get knocked out in the first round. Yeah, whatever round they're in, they get knocked out. There you go. But no, so you beat Leyton Orient 2-1. I mean, Leyton Orient are no mugs. Yeah. I mean, you must have made a little bit of money out of that cup run. I mean, has that gone towards anything, or is it just to kind of safekeeping for a rainy day type thing?
I've got no idea, to be honest. They don't let me near the bank account. But I guess, in terms of the timing with everything that's gone on, it would have come in quite handy. A bit of safeguarding for the future of the club. But I think more than the money, it's about the exposure, isn't it? And,
of course.
Having the BBC down there and doing the draw from the club was all, fantastic exposure for the club, and sort of what the management and players are doing and have done.
Well, so it's an amazing achievement. That's not getting forgotten too soon. Do you know what I mean? So, I know obviously Hastings had their cup run. It was a wonderful run when it was going, and I still remember every game I went to on that cup run. And it's, I'm sure, like with yourself, it's just those little memories you keep. That's the reason why you watch sport, isn't it? For those fantastic moments. But
I've said to people that for all the football I've watched over the years, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On a football pitch, the whole run from starting out in the preliminary rounds or the extra preliminaries, when there's about one man and his dog's there, and then you finish up in front of the BBC on a Friday night. It doesn't happen every year, does it? I wish it did. But
no. Oh, well, I suppose it's like going back to when you're a Man U fan. Man U fans or teams up in the top league, they just expect success. They don't appreciate it like obviously you appreciated your cup run. you know, or with Hastings when we had our little cup run. You know, these are things that people talk about years after. Whereas when you're a top club, you don't. It's just next season, you know, we'll do better.
Yeah,
you know?
you just sort of go in at the third round, don't you? And you don't really, you don't appreciate sort of what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
To be fair, we weren't far off being in the hat for the third round either.
No, exactly. You definitely represented yourselves well. I mean, it was no shame to go out when you did.
No, I think hopefully we represented the non-league well as well, and obviously Chichester got through with us, didn't they, as well?
Yeah.
So I think overall, it's just really good exposure for the non-league and just the quality of players that's around there. Because I think people have this sort of idea that it's Sunday league football when it's really not. It's
absolutely.
Really standard.
Absolutely. I mean, with lots of these talents, they get scouted. You know, it's the place to go to, really. I mean, all right, yeah, there are somewhat uncut diamonds, but there's so much good talent down in the lower leagues. I mean, we keep the FA Cup going. If it weren't for the lower leagues, the interest in the FA Cup would have gone. You know, it's those little stories like your story last year. You know, that's what makes it's not. Who cares who won it? Do you know what I mean? No one really, apart from the club that won it, people remember the little stories like your boys and your cup run. You know what I mean? So I mean, I was just going to ask you about your manager, Wayne Brown. He's been there for a few years. I mean, what sort of football are you playing these days? I mean, I've obviously seen you when you were playing on the telly, but that's obviously cup football, so it might not be a complete reflection of how you're sort of set out. But I mean, what are you sort of like attacking side, counter attack? What do we expect when we play?
Well, I don't know what you guys can expect, to be honest, because I don't know what to expect either. It's pretty much an entirely new squad.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
So the boys we've got in at the minute have only been together 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of last year's squad have moved onwards and upwards, which is fantastic for them, and it shows what you can do if you sort of put your mind to it and really work hard. You know, the rewards are there for you.
Yeah.
But in terms of the football, I mean, last year, to say we were attacking was an understatement.
Okay.
There was a run of about a month where players were scoring hat-tricks pretty much every week. It was. Then also on the flip side of that, after the cup run, when the season sort of becomes a bit of a slog and a bit of a war, we could hang in there and grind out these 1-0s and be really defensively solid. And obviously Wayne, being a former centre back,
he loves a bit of that. Then.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect anything there.
Well, it's the making of a good side. It's the making of a good side. Yeah, right. Score the goals when the summer's out, but those 1-0s when it's November, December, when you're not playing so well, grinding those results out, that's the mark of a good team, isn't it?
Yeah, that they're the results that win your leagues, aren't they?
Yeah. So where did you? I can't remember. Really. I had a look. Where did you finish last year?
We were 14 points clear.
You were having a lot. 14 points clear. Jesus.
We were 14 points clear. Yeah, I think the only team that had sort of a similar amount of games left than us or to us were Aveley, because they had their FA trophy run. So we were 14 points clear of them, but played the same amount of games, counted to nothing at the end of the day.
And there I was moaning. We were 4 points clear, 2 games in hand, and we only had some bottom sides to play. So. There's us complaining, and then you lot 14 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's a real bastard. This COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to feel victimised. At that, but I mean, there were teams like yourself, and I think was it Jersey who won every single game they played, and they'd already confirmed promotion, so. There were other teams in the same boat as us, but it's hard not to feel a bit victimised, and
Get started well. I mean, I was a little bit concerned. We've lost a few players, some quality, particularly like Daniel.
Yeah, have they gone higher as well?
Yeah, and like particularly there's one fella called Daniel Ajakai, who's a top player, and like he like I'm sure with your chaps that. You can't stay still. Like to be fair to our level, if they're top players, they need to look higher, and neither yourself or us, we should be holding them back, because we want the club to be like, well, actually, if you go here, you get better and you move on, then you're going to get more good players coming through. So hopefully you've got a few of those. Yeah,
hopefully there's a few of those sort of in amongst the boys we've got at the minute. It would be nice.
So in terms of, so you've been to a few games. You've got crowds there now?
So we haven't had a home game yet. We've not had a home friendly.
I thought that was a home game last night. Is it not?
No, that was away. Yeah. So I think it's a week on Saturday is our first home game.
What's your capacity? You like a couple of thousand, 1,000, or what are you?
Yeah, I think it's about 2.5.
Yeah. And how many do you get down there usually, like on an average?
Maybe a couple of hundred, 200-300.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, last season with the exposure, the club got, that did creep up a little bit, which was good to see. So hopefully they're and keep coming back, because
well, you don't.
It would be nice to know that they were there for the long haul rather than just when the cameras were there.
Well, that glory always feels better if you've been there at the bad times. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you just turn up when they're winning, you don't realise where they were before. Do you know what I mean? So it's always better when you've been there for a while.
Yeah.
But
it made the cold Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Getting absolutely stoked. Well worth it.
Is there any decent pubs around there, or is the bar good at your ground?
Yeah, there's a bar at the ground. I'm not sure whether that'll be open. I've not been told. But if not, that you're about a 10-minute walk from the high street.
Yeah.
So there's pubs and bars and restaurants galore in there. So.
Well, listen, Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. So you take care, and good luck with your season.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's all right, Lee. You take care. Is there any? By the way, Lee, is there anything Morton and Tiptree you want to mention about? Anything you want to push, promote?
Just when we let fans in, just come to the games. Come to the games, buy some tickets, and buy some dodgy raffle tickets, because I never win, so someone's got to.
Yeah, we've got the same thing here. All right, then, mate. Well, listen, you take care, yeah? Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to get involved or if you have any input or observations, please contact us on hufcpod@gmail.com or on Twitter @hufcpodcast. I look forward to hearing from you. I've been your host, Chris Laverick. Have a good week and see you at the game. Sussex by the sea, forward the men from Sussex. Sussex by the sea, we plough and sow and reap and mow, and useful men are we. And when you come to Sussex, whoever you may be, you can tell them all that we stand or fall in Sussex by the sea. All together now, Sussex by the sea, by the sea. Good old Sussex by the sea. You can tell them.